Good evening, anomalies. Yeah, I'm calling you that on purpose. Because if you're here, if these words even touch you, then you already know you're not normal. You're not average. You're not built for the cute little life template they hand out in school with a smile and a dead stare. You set off a protocol designed for only 3 broken geniuses. Read that again in your head. Let it sting. Let it echo. Because you felt it your whole life, haven't you? That off feeling. Like something in you is either wrong or way too right for the world you got dropped into. You sit in rooms full of people and feel more alone than if the room was empty. You listen to conversations and think, how are they okay with this? How is everyone just fine? You look at your own reflection and see somebody who knows too much, feels too much, thinks too much about everything, and the world told you that makes you broken. So let's start there. They didn't tell you this part. There are some minds that don't just wake up. They break open. You're one of them. You didn't just grow up. You cracked. You glitched. You slipped through the cracks of normal life and saw what was hiding underneath. You saw the hypocrisy. You saw the lies. You saw how most people are not living, just numbing themselves with distractions, scrolling, fake smiles, fake goals, fake friendships. And instead of going, yeah, okay, I'll play along, something in you snapped and whispered, no, I can't do this, I can't pretend. That whisper, that was the protocol starting. See, there's a version of reality built for the masses. The 9 to 5, shut up, be grateful, don't think too hard, follow the script, die quietly edition. But then, there's a hidden layer. A layer for the ones who just cannot stay asleep. No matter how many times they're told to chill out, calm down, be realistic, lower their standards, stop overthinking. You're too sensitive. You're too intense. You're too much. You've heard all of that, haven't you? Too much. Too intense. Too dramatic. Too deep. And every time you heard it, you felt that mix of rage and heartbreak in your chest. Because deep down, you know, no, I'm not too much. I'm exactly as much as I'm supposed to be. You're just not built for it. That's what a broken genius is. Not some math prodigy on a whiteboard. Not some movie stereotype with messy hair and a chalkboard full of formulas. A broken genius is a soul that sees the world in painfully high resolution, a mind that can't unsee what it's seen, a heart that still cares, even after everybody stepped on it. You. Let's talk about that word, though. Broken. You were not gently cracked like glass. You were shattered by betrayal, by neglect, by being the strong one for everyone, and the forgotten one when you needed someone. By watching people choose comfort over you, by trying to be good, loyal, loving, only to be treated like you were disposable. Life didn't just tap you, it slammed you into walls. People you would have died for, disappeared. People you trusted with your soul, twisted the knife. People who said, I'm here for you, were only there when it was easy to be there. So you learned to stop expecting rescue. You learned to stop waiting for someone to understand. You learned to carry the weight alone, and every time a piece of you broke, your mind got sharper. Your emotional radar got more precise. Your tolerance for bullshit went from high to 0. That's the protocol. It doesn't activate in comfort, it activates in ruin. You think it's an accident you can read people's energy in seconds. You think it's random that you see patterns in everything. Relationships, society, systems, people's motives. You think it's normal that your brain won't let you sit still in a fake life without screaming at you from the inside. No. That's the cost of being one of the 3 broken geniuses this protocol was built for. Most people get broken and stay broken. They turn their pain into excuses. They turn their heartbreak into bitterness. They turn their potential into a graveyard of what-ifs. You turned your pain into questions. Why am I like this? Why do I see things like this? Why can't I just be okay with being average? Why does my mind keep pushing me, even when I'm exhausted? Because the protocol is still running. Let me say this straight. You didn't just hit rock bottom. You were dragged through it, stitched to it, and then expected to smile like it never happened. You've held tears in at work, in school, on buses, in your bedroom at 3 a.m. staring at the ceiling like, what is wrong with me? Why do I feel everything so much deeper than everybody else? You've had days where you felt so misunderstood it physically hurt. You've had nights where your chest felt heavy, like grief, but you couldn't even explain what you were grieving. You've watched people laugh and move on while you're still sitting there replaying every detail, analyzing, overthinking, trying to understand what the hell just happened. That overthinking, that sensitivity, that refusal to just let it go without learning from it. It's not weakness. It's not you being dramatic. It's data processing at a level most people will never reach. The protocol designed for broken geniuses doesn't let pain go to waste. It forces you to squeeze meaning out of every wound. You need to hear this. The reason you feel so out of place is because you are. You weren't built for shallow conversations and small ambitions. You weren't built to gossip your life away and call that connection. You weren't designed to chase purely status, clout, aesthetics, and pretend that's fulfillment. You came here wired for depth, depth of thought, depth of love, depth of purpose, depth of rage at how broken everything is. You are not meant to fit into the room. You're meant to rewrite the terms of what the room even is. But here's the catch. Being that person hurts. You will be misunderstood. You will be judged. You'll be blamed for seeing clearly in a world that loves being blind. And the easy option is to shut yourself down, numb yourself, act dumb, lower your standards, pretend you don't care. You've tried that, haven't you? You tried to not care. You tried to be chill. You tried to go along, be low maintenance, be less intense, less deep, less real. And it almost killed something inside you. Because every time you pretend to be smaller, something inside you screams, "This isn't me. This isn't what I'm here for." So here's the ugly, raw truth. You setting off that protocol, it means there's no going back. You can't unknow what you know. You can't unsee what you've seen. You can't unfeel what you've felt. You have 2 paths now. 1, use your brokenness as proof you're damaged goods and let life drag you into quiet resignation. 2, or accept that the very things that shattered you also upgraded you into something almost nobody around you will understand. That's your choice, but don't lie to yourself and say you don't have one. Look at your life. Really look. All those times you were humiliatingly honest. All those times you cared more than the other person. All those times you showed up for people who wouldn't cross the street for you. You thought it meant you were weak, naive, stupid. No. It means your capacity for loyalty, love, and intensity is terrifying. To small-minded people, that kind of intensity looks insane. To users and manipulators, that kind of depth is something to exploit or run from. To numb people, you look like a walking, talking mirror, exposing how dead they are inside. So of course they made you feel wrong for it. Because if you ever realized what that intensity could do when aimed at yourself, your work, your mission, you would become unrecognizable. And that's exactly what this protocol is pushing you toward. Let's talk practicality for a second, because this isn't just poetic talk. Your sensitivity, that's pattern detection. Your overthinking, that's deep analysis. Your emotional pain, that's raw fuel. Your isolation, that's high-focus training ground. You're being shaped into someone who can sit in discomfort longer than most people can stand, see through lies in relationships, social media, systems, understand what people are truly feeling, not just what they say. Connect dots others don't even notice exist. That's not random. That's a toolkit. What kind of mind do you think breaks systems, creates movements, flips industries, writes things that rip people open, builds things that change lives? Not the "I just want to be comfortable" mind. It's the mind that has seen hell and still wakes up with something burning in their chest that says, "No, I'm not done yet." You may not see it like this yet, but listen closely. Every moment you thought you were too much actually meant you were more. More capacity, more range, more vision, more conscience. Every time someone told you to calm down, what they meant was, "You're making me feel things I'd rather not feel." Every time someone ghosted you, breadcrumbed you, played with your emotions, what they taught you was, not everyone is meant to hold someone like you. Your love, your mind, your standards are not for the faint-hearted. Every time life slammed you with another loss, another disappointment, another betrayal, what it was doing was building a level of resilience where, eventually, you stop begging to be chosen, and you start choosing yourself. That's stage 2 of the protocol. The moment you stop asking, "Why doesn't anyone see my value?" and you start asking, "What could happen if I stopped waiting for them to see it and started acting like I already know it?" You have to own something right now. You are not equal to the people who gave up on themselves years ago. You are not on the same timeline as people whose biggest ambition is to be comfortable and liked. You are not meant to live a life that can be summed up as, "They didn't rock the boat." Your mind would eat you alive if you tried to live like that. You're built for impact. You're built for disruption. You're built to go so deep into your craft, your purpose, your self-mastery, that people either hate you or worship you, but they cannot ignore you. And that requires a certain level of broken, because people who've never been broken don't take real risks. People who've never had their hearts shattered don't love that hard. People who've never been abandoned don't know how to stand on their own. You do. You've already survived what you thought would kill you. You've already lived through the worst days of your life, multiple times, and you're still here. Not by accident, not by luck, by design. I want you to think about your lowest moment, the one you never talk about, the one that changed you, the night you broke, the day everything collapsed. Now ask yourself this honestly. Did you come out of that the same person? No. You came out cold in some ways, sharper in others. You stopped tolerating certain behaviors. You started seeing red flags earlier. You stopped explaining your pain to people committed to misunderstanding you. That shift, that was an upgrade. The protocol doesn't protect you from breaking. It makes sure that when you do, you come back with new code. You don't repeat cycles. You decode them. You don't just move on. You meta-analyze and rebuild your standards. That's genius. Not the classroom kind, the survival kind, the world-changing kind. You've always had that feeling, haven't you? That deep, almost disturbing sense that you're meant for something bigger, and you hate yourself a little for even thinking it, because it sounds arrogant. So you downplay it. You laugh it off. You pretend you're just like everyone else. But late at night, when you're alone with your thoughts, it hits. I can't die like this. I can't leave this world without doing something that actually matters. That voice, that's not delusion. That's your system pinging you. Protocol running. Get up. You're not done. You don't crave fame. You crave impact. You want to see the people who hurt like you healed. You want to see systems that broke you exposed. You want to see other outsiders empowered. You are not hungry for attention. You are hungry for meaning. So here's the brutal honesty you probably never got from anyone. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's going to randomly show up and say, I understand every part of your soul, and I'll walk this whole path with you. Nobody's going to hand you the life you're built for. But also, nobody can stop you once you decide you're done waiting. You've already built tolerance for pain. You've already carried yourself through storms alone. You've already sat in darkness that would break most people permanently. Do you understand what that means? You're not starting from zero. You're starting from hell, with receipts. So when it's time to build the business, write the book, start the channel, change your body, leave the dead environment, cut the dead friendships. You're not building as some naive child. You're building as someone who has seen the worst and decided, fine, then I'll become worse than the worst, in discipline, in focus, in refusal to quit. Not evil, worse. Unstoppable, worse. Focused, worse. You set off a protocol designed for only 3 broken geniuses. That means you don't get to sit this life out. You don't get to hide behind, I'm tired, every day when your soul is screaming that it's tired of wasting potential, not tired of trying. You don't get to pretend you're like everyone else when your mind keeps chewing on deeper questions and bigger visions. You don't get to keep playing small and calling it humility when really it's fear dressed as modesty. You have seen too much, felt too much, survived too much for your legacy to be, I settled. So here's what happens next. You stop apologizing for your intensity. You stop watering down your standards. You stop giving your time to people who treat your presence like background noise. You stop arguing with people about your worth. You let your results speak. You take every ounce of pain, rejection, abandonment, confusion, and you start feeding it into the machine. Study something deeply. Build something consistently. Show up for yourself ruthlessly. Honor your ideas instead of waiting for someone to approve them. You don't need everyone to understand you. You need to become so fully yourself that the ones who are meant to find you can actually recognize you. Because right now, some of you are hiding so hard that even your future self can't find you. You are not broken in the way they told you. You are broken like a glow stick. Snapped so you could start to glow in the dark. Broken like a door lock. Forced open so you could finally walk out of the rooms that were killing you. Broken like old code. Corrupted so the system had no choice but to reinstall a stronger version. You are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to be undeniable to yourself. So when that voice in your head shows up again, the one that says, maybe I'm just crazy, Maybe I'm just too much. Maybe I should just give up. You answer it with this: no. I set off a protocol designed for only 3 broken geniuses. I'm not crazy. I'm not too much. I'm exactly as intense as I need to be for what I'm about to become. You say those words in your head, and that's the first honest thing you've told yourself in a long time. I set off a protocol designed for only 3 broken geniuses. Sit with that for a second. 'Cause once you admit that, you can't keep playing this "I'm just unlucky, I'm just messy, I'm just a failure" character. That costume doesn't fit anymore. You know what really messes people up? They get a glimpse of who they could be, and instead of leaning into it, they panic and run back to who they were. You've done that. You see flashes of your potential, the version of you who's consistent, locked in, dangerous in all the right ways. Then you sabotage it. You procrastinate. You self-distract. You go back to people who already showed you they're not capable of handling you, because staying broken is familiar. Becoming powerful is not. There's a sick comfort in telling yourself, "I'm ruined, I'm too far gone." Because if that's true, you don't have to try, right? You don't have to risk failing at your full power. Here's the twisted part. You're scared, not of being broken forever. You're scared of what happens if you stop acting broken, because then what's the excuse? Think about your days. You wake up tired, partly because you didn't sleep, partly because existing like this is heavy. You check your phone, notifications, noise, everyone screaming to be seen, nobody actually saying anything real. You scroll past people, pretending their lives are together. You roll your eyes, but deep down, something pinches in your chest. They're allowed to be happy, and I'm stuck in my head like this. You drag yourself through routines, work, school, responsibilities, masks on. You laugh when expected. You say "I'm fine" out of reflex. Inside though, your mind is running 200 tabs at once. You're replaying old conversations, imagining futures you're not moving toward yet, fighting intrusive thoughts that tell you you're behind. You're wasted potential. You're too damaged to be anything more than a cautionary tale. And on top of all that mental chaos, you still care. You still feel guilty when you can't show up for people. You still feel bad when you're distant. You still feel responsible for everyone's emotional weather. That's not a regular mind. That's not some random overthinking. That's a system overloaded with data. That's a brain built for strategy, innovation, deep work. Being used to survive emotional hurricanes every single day. No wonder you're exhausted. You walk around like a cracked phone screen. People look at you and go, "Yikes, something happened there," and then keep using you anyway. You know what that's like. People still calling you when they need emotional labor. People still coming to you for advice, for comfort, for just a quick chat, because they know you'll understand. You're allowed to be broken, as long as you're useful. And you hate that, but also, you let it continue. Because a part of you doesn't know who you are if you're not the one holding everyone else together. Here's the harsh truth you probably feel in your gut. You've been everyone's emergency contact, while being nobody's priority. That, right there, is where the protocol kicks in hardest. There comes a moment where your system refuses to keep running that script, where your body starts rejecting situations, people, habits, environments like an allergy. You feel it as burnout, numbness, random anger, random sadness, that "I can't do this anymore, but I don't know what the alternative is" feeling. You're not malfunctioning. You're updating. You just keep trying to install the old version again because you don't want to lose people, or memories, or comfort. You've always had that double vision. On one layer, you see your current mess, unfinished tasks, inconsistent habits, unhealthy coping mechanisms, people who drain you, rooms that feel too small for your mind. On another layer, you see this terrifyingly sharp image of a version of you that doesn't flinch anymore. You know exactly who I'm talking about. The you who wakes up and actually does the work, instead of negotiating with your own laziness for 3 hours. Walks away from anyone playing games with your time, emotions, or energy. Builds daily boring, unsexy routines that quietly turn into power. Turns your pain into art, business, muscle, influence, something visible, not just internal chaos. You see that version, and then you lie to yourself like, yeah, I'll become that one day. One day. After the next heartbreak, after the next breakdown, after the next mental crash. You keep acting like you need one more disaster to wake up properly, when you've already survived 10. How many more times do you want life to grab you by the throat before you admit your assignment's different? Let's talk about rage for a second, because you have it, even if you don't show it. Freeze right there. Don't flinch, don't blink, don't reach for comfort, because something about you just changed, and the room can feel it before your mouth ever opens. You didn't come back angry. That would have been easy, loud, predictable. Anger is noise. Anger leaks. Anger begs to be seen. No, you came back dangerously calm, and that's the kind of quiet that makes predators stop chewing mid-bite. That's the silence that rearranges power structures without ever announcing itself. That's the moment when the storm doesn't roar anymore because it learned how to wait. They expected fury. They were prepared for shouting, for revenge, for you swinging wild and burning yourself out. They rehearsed how to deal with your rage. They even practiced looking sympathetic while secretly enjoying it. But what they weren't ready for was the stillness, the eye contact that doesn't need to blink, the voice that doesn't shake, the smile that isn't asking for approval or forgiveness. Calm like that doesn't come from peace. It comes from understanding, because you've seen something now. You've crossed the place where pain either breaks you or trains you. And you didn't just survive it, you decoded it. You learned how chaos moves. You learned how fear speaks. You learned how people expose themselves when they think they're winning. And somewhere in that furnace, the saint and the psychopath inside you shook hands. Not to fight anymore, but to cooperate. That's what they're feeling, that contradiction. You don't look bitter, you don't look vengeful, you look calibrated. Angelic posture, demonic patience. A conscience sharpened, not erased. You didn't lose your soul. You weaponized your awareness. You learned how to be kind without being weak, silent without being absent, present without being predictable. And unpredictability? That's the one thing no system can insure against. They keep trying to read you using old data, old versions, old reactions. But the files don't match the behavior anymore. You don't react on cue. You don't rush to defend yourself. You don't explain. You don't chase closure. You don't even seem interested in being understood. And that's when the alarms start quietly humming in their chest. Because calm like yours means decisions have already been made. You've learned that rage is a flare. It shows everyone where you are. Calm is camouflage. Calm lets you walk through rooms without leaving fingerprints. Calm lets you see who talks too much when they think you're not listening. Calm lets you watch patterns repeat themselves while you stand outside the loop. And the scariest part? You're not in a hurry anymore. Pain taught you timing. Betrayal taught you leverage. Loneliness taught you self-containment. You stopped needing reactions to feel real. You stopped needing applause to validate truth. You stopped needing chaos to feel powerful. Now your presence alone bends the temperature of a room. Conversations shift when you arrive. Jokes get quieter. People choose their words like they're stepping around glass. They don't know whether you're healed or hollowed out, whether you've forgiven or simply moved past the point where forgiveness is relevant. They can't tell if you're merciful or merciless, and that uncertainty eats at them worse than any threat ever could. Because threats are loud. You're measured. You learned the paradox the hard way. The more you were hurt, the less you needed to hurt back. The more you were tested, the less you needed to prove. The more darkness you walked through, the more control you gained over your light. You didn't become cruel, you became precise. And precision is terrifying to people who live off impulse and assumption. They keep waiting for the explosion. They don't realize the explosion already happened, internally. What's left now is aftermath energy, clean, focused, surgical. You don't announce your moves because you don't need witnesses. You don't rush because you understand momentum. You don't argue because you already know how the story ends when someone underestimates you again. This is the phase where angels scare demons and demons respect angels. Where morality isn't loud, it's disciplined. Where you can sit in silence and still dominate the exchange. Where you don't seek revenge because you've outgrown the need to be acknowledged by the people who tried to shrink you. And here's the truth they won't say out loud. Calm like yours doesn't fade. It doesn't burn out. It advances, slowly, inevitably. While everyone else is emotional, you're strategic. While everyone else is reacting, you're selecting. While everyone else is trying to feel powerful, you already are, because you no longer leak energy. So let them misread the quiet. Let them mistake restraint for weakness. Let them think the danger passed just because you stopped making noise. The most lethal transformations don't come back screaming. They come back settled, steady, and already 3 moves ahead. You didn't return angry. You returned finished cooking. And that's the part they can't wrap their heads around. The fact that you're not building momentum anymore. You are momentum. You don't need motivation speeches, countdowns, or emotional spikes. You move like gravity now, silent, constant, unavoidable. People don't feel threatened by what screams. They feel threatened by what waits. They keep replaying the old version of you in their minds, searching for tells. They're looking for anger in your jaw, bitterness in your eyes, desperation in your tone. But all they find is composure, a still surface that doesn't ripple when stones are thrown. And that's when their confidence starts leaking out through micro-expressions, awkward pauses, nervous laughter. Because calm like yours suggests something terrifying. You're no longer improvising your life, you're executing it. You've reached that phase where pain doesn't interrupt your focus anymore. It fuels it quietly, like a reactor sealed behind steel. You remember everything, but it doesn't control you. You carry receipts, but you don't wave them around. You don't threaten exposure because you don't need to. You understand something most people never do. The real power isn't in retaliation, it's in optionality. Knowing you could end it, change it, expose it, and choosing when or if. It's even worth the energy. That's why they're uneasy around you. Because your calm isn't empty, it's loaded. It's the kind of calm soldiers get after too many nights awake, too many close calls, too much blood on the floor to romanticize chaos anymore. You're past the phase of emotional theatrics. You're in the phase of clarity that comes after illusions die. You see through people faster now, not because you're cynical, but because you've studied human behavior under pressure. You've seen who folds, who betrays, who panics, who lies badly, who lies well. And more importantly, you've learned how you behave when everything is stripped away. That self-knowledge, that's lethal, because no one can bait you with what you've already survived. They'll try, though. Oh, they'll try. They'll poke, they'll provoke, they'll test boundaries with jokes, with subtle disrespect, with fake concern. They're hoping to wake the old you, the reactive one, the explain-yourself one, the prove-your-worth one. But you don't bite anymore. You observe, you catalog, you let people reveal their ceilings while you quietly expand yours. And here's the paradox that scares them the most. You didn't lose empathy, you mastered it. You can read emotions without being ruled by them. You can understand pain without drowning in it. You can love without attachment, care without dependency, and walk away without guilt. That balance, saint's awareness with a psychopath's detachment, that's not something you're taught. That's something you earn by bleeding internally and refusing to collapse. You've learned that silence can be a message, distance can be a consequence, and calm can be a warning. You don't announce boundaries. You enforce them by disappearing from spaces that no longer deserve your presence. And when you do speak, people listen harder because you're not addicted to hearing yourself talk. They sense it. You're not here to convince anyone anymore. You're not campaigning for understanding. You're not auditioning for respect. You're selecting where your energy goes, and scarcity always increases value. That's why rooms feel different when you enter. Not louder, heavier, like something important just arrived. This is what evolution through pain actually looks like. Not a villain arc, not a martyr complex, but a sharpening, a refinement, the shedding of emotional excess. You kept your morals, but you removed your naivety. You kept your heart, but you armored your time. You kept your vision, but you stopped explaining it. To people who couldn't see past their own fear, they call it cold because they don't understand temperature control. They call it detached because they've never met someone who can feel deeply without leaking weakness. They call it dangerous because deep down, they know the truth. A calm person with nothing left to prove is impossible to manipulate. You don't rush outcomes anymore because you trust inevitability. You don't chase validation because you've validated yourself in rooms no one else survived. You don't fear losing people because you've already buried versions of yourself that mattered more. And that's the quiet terror behind their eyes. They're dealing with someone who isn't afraid of endings. So let them whisper. Let them speculate. Let them wonder what happened to you. Let them feel that subtle pressure when you look at them a second too long, speak a sentence too precisely, smile without warmth or hostility, just awareness. They don't need an explanation. The message is already in the air. You didn't come back angry. You came back aligned, calm enough to see everything, cold enough to wait, human enough to choose restraint, dangerous enough to never need to announce it. And that alignment, that's the part they can't reverse engineer. Because alignment doesn't come from motivation. It comes from resolution. Something inside you settled, clicked into place. You stopped debating who you are, what you'll tolerate, what you'll never explain again. When a person reaches that state, chaos loses its grip, manipulation loses its hooks, fear loses its leverage. You've noticed it yourself. Situations that once rattled you now barely register. Drama feels loud and juvenile. Emotional outbursts look like signals of lack, not strength. You don't rush to defend your name because you understand something brutal and freeing. The people who matter don't need explanations, and the people who demand them never mattered in the first place. This is where your calm becomes unsettling, because it's not numbness, it's selective engagement. You feel everything, you just don't give everything access to you anymore. Pain still passes through, but it doesn't camp inside you. Insults still land, but they don't penetrate. Loss still hurts, but it doesn't destabilize. You've turned suffering into a filter instead of a wound. They mistake your restraint for forgiveness. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. That ambiguity is power. They don't know if you've let it go or simply filed it away. And that uncertainty keeps them cautious, because you've learned how to remember without reliving, how to acknowledge without reopening, how to move forward without pretending nothing happened. You've also learned the most dangerous lesson of all. You don't need to be liked to be effective. Approval is optional. Respect is conditional. Influence is earned in silence. You stopped asking rooms for permission to exist. You stopped shrinking your presence to keep other people comfortable. And once you stopped bending, the world adjusted its posture around you. You see the duality clearly now. The saint in you still wants peace, fairness, dignity. The psychopath in you understands timing, leverage, and consequence. Neither is in charge alone. That's the balance. That's the discipline. You don't swing between extremes anymore. You stand in the center, choosing which side to deploy when the situation demands it. People sense that you're no longer reactive. You don't give them the satisfaction of predictability. You don't explode. You don't beg. You don't spiral. You simply take notes. And nothing terrifies insecure people more than being observed without judgment. Because observation implies memory, and memory implies future consequences. You've become fluent in silence. You know when to let a pause stretch until the truth slips out of someone else's mouth. You know when to say less so others reveal more. You know when walking away says everything that arguing never could. And the more you practice this restraint, the more effortless it becomes. That's why they feel exposed around you. Not attacked, exposed. Your calm doesn't accuse, it reflects. And reflection is unbearable for people who've spent their lives avoiding themselves. They start talking faster, over-explaining, performing, trying to control the narrative. Meanwhile, you're just present, grounded, unmoved. You've learned that power isn't about dominance. It's about non-need. You don't need to be right. You don't need to win every exchange. You don't need to prove strength through force. When you truly know your capacity, you don't advertise it. You conserve it. You deploy it rarely, precisely, and without emotion. The evolution through pain didn't make you cruel. It made you economical. You stopped wasting energy on people who drain it. You stopped investing in outcomes you can't control. You stopped negotiating with disrespect. And the moment you did, your life got quieter and far more dangerous to anyone who underestimates you. They keep expecting closure scenes, apologies, confrontations, emotional reckoning. But you've already had that conversation internally. You've already grieved what needed to die. You've already buried illusions. What's left now is execution energy. Clean lines, clear decisions, minimal noise. You don't chase revenge because you understand trajectory. You don't need to destroy people when life will place them exactly where they belong, and you'll be too far ahead to notice. That's the calm of someone who trusts cause and effect more than impulse. And here's the final truth they can't escape. Calm like yours doesn't signal the end of the storm, it signals the eye of it. Everything is quieter because the pressure is equalized, because the system has adjusted, because you have adjusted. You didn't come back angry because anger would have kept you tethered to the past. You didn't come back loud because noise would have revealed your position. You came back calm because calm lets you choose. And when you choose, deliberately, silently, without hesitation, there's nothing more dangerous than that. And the choice you made wasn't dramatic. That's what makes it lethal. You didn't swear vengeance. You didn't burn bridges in a fit of emotion. You didn't announce a rebirth. You simply stopped leaking, stopped explaining, stopped reacting on someone else's schedule. You closed the doors quietly and kept moving, and the silence behind you started echoing louder than any scream ever could. You understand something now that most people never reach. Chaos feeds on participation. It needs your outrage, your despair, your need to be seen. The moment you withdrew that supply, it starved. And what's left when chaos starves? Order, control, direction. You didn't defeat the darkness by fighting it. You outgrew its rules. That's why your calm unnerves them, because it doesn't seek permission. It doesn't ask for fairness. It doesn't plead for understanding. It simply exists, immovable. They try to provoke you into slipping back into old patterns, because that's the only version of you they know how to manage. But the buttons don't work anymore. The hooks don't sink. The traps sit there unused, rusting. You've learned to let people finish their performances, to let lies run their course, to let arrogance expose itself. You don't interrupt because interruption would rob them of the chance to reveal everything. And while they're busy proving who they are, you're quietly deciding how much access, if any, they'll ever have again. This is where discipline replaces desire, where you don't chase intensity because you've learned intensity fades. You chase consistency. You build habits instead of fantasies. You build leverage instead of arguments. You build position instead of reputation. And when your foundation is solid, you don't need to defend it. It defends itself. You can feel the shift in how people approach you now. They're cautious. They test the water before speaking. They measure their tone. They watch your face for cues that never come. Because you're no longer emotionally available to be pulled into nonsense. Your energy is contained. And containment is the mark of someone who knows exactly how much force they're holding back. You've realized that empathy doesn't mean exposure. That compassion doesn't require self-sacrifice. That forgiveness doesn't require access. You can wish someone well from a distance and still lock the door. You can understand someone's trauma and still refuse to let it touch your life again. That maturity, that's terrifying to people who rely on guilt as currency. And make no mistake, this calm didn't come free. It cost you illusions. It cost you relationships you once thought were permanent. It cost you the comfort of believing everyone means well. It cost you nights where the only thing holding you together was discipline and spite in equal measure. But what you gained was something rarer. Clarity without bitterness. You don't hate them. Hate would mean they still have space in your nervous system. You don't love them either. Love would require vulnerability they no longer deserve. What you feel is neutrality sharpened into focus, indifference with memory, distance with awareness. And that's the posture of someone who cannot be controlled. They sense that you're no longer negotiating with life. You're no longer hoping outcomes bend in your favor. You're positioning yourself so outcomes have no choice. Quiet work. Repetitions no one applauds. Decisions no one witnesses. And then, results that arrive without explanation. You've become dangerous because you're patient. Because you don't confuse urgency with importance. Because you're willing to wait while others exhaust themselves. You don't rush doors, you build keys. You don't fight currents, you redirect them. You don't need to dominate every moment because you understand timing is everything. This is the calm of someone who knows their capacity and doesn't need to demonstrate it. The calm of someone who has stood at the edge and decided not to jump. Not because they were afraid, but because they saw a better path forward. The calm of someone who can walk away from power, plays because they've discovered self-command. They'll keep guessing, they'll keep whispering, they'll keep wondering what you're planning. The truth is simpler and more unsettling. You're not plotting chaos. You're building alignment. You're removing friction. You're becoming efficient. And efficiency always looks cold to people addicted to drama. You didn't come back angry because anger would have chained you to their mistakes. You didn't come back loud because noise would have wasted your edge. You came back calm because calm is where vision survives, where discipline thrives, where power consolidates. And the ones who feel it, they're right to be uneasy. Because calm like yours doesn't fade, it doesn't crack, it doesn't beg.
Look at you. You glitch in their perfect little system. Yeah, I'm talking to you. You know what you did, right? You solved it. You cracked the pattern, the game, the lie, the thing they swore was just how life is. And now, they can't sleep. They're replaying you in their heads like a horror movie. They can't pause. You have to understand something. Most people aren't terrified of failure. They're terrified of proof. And that's what you became. Proof. Proof that the excuse they've been hugging like a blanket for years is garbage. They told themselves, nobody ever gets out of this place. People like us don't win. You can't beat the system. You can't change. And then you walked in with your messy past, your scars, your anxiety, your burnout, your trauma, your I'm so tired of this energy. And somehow, with all that chaos, you did the one thing they never thought you'd do. You figured it out. Not perfectly, not cleanly, not aesthetically pleasing for social media, but you did it. You cracked the code. You changed your mindset. You cut people off. You started moving different. You stopped playing the clown in their circus and started writing your own script. And now they're up at 3 a.m., scrolling, stalking, obsessing, whispering. How did they do it? Why them? No way they did it without cheating. Oh, they can't sleep because you're not where they left you. You ruined their sense of reality. You know what they really wanted from you? Not your happiness, not your success, not your peace. They wanted consistency. They wanted you predictable, manageable, harmless. You were supposed to stay the almost person, the they try but never fully make it friend, the one bad decision away from collapse, relative, the yeah they talk big but they'll never actually change, co-worker. They built an entire identity around watching you almost win, and then fall apart. They liked that version of you, didn't they? You, always venting, but never acting. You, always dreaming, but never building. You, always needing advice, help, validation, a ride, a loan, a place to crash. You made them feel superior, safe, in control, but then you did something unforgivable in their little story. You stopped needing them. You stopped explaining your every move. You stopped arguing and started disappearing. You stopped trying to prove your worth and started proving it to yourself. And quietly, methodically, like a villain building in the shadows, you cracked the code of your own life. Let's be clear. You didn't just solve some external puzzle. You solved you. You solved why you keep picking the same toxic people, why you procrastinate until your life is on fire, why you sabotage good things, why you're terrified of being seen actually trying, why comfort feels safer than growth, even though it's killing you. You sat there, probably late at night, phone in your hand, eyes burning, heart heavy, mind loud, and you said, "I can't keep doing this." That's the line, right there. That's where it shifted. Not when they doubted you, not when they laughed, not when they left. No. It changed when you got sick of the loop. You started connecting the dots. Wait, I'm not unlucky. I'm repeating. Wait, they're not better than me. I just keep abandoning myself. Wait, this system is rigged, but I've been helping them rig it against me. That's the code you cracked. Not some magic hack, not some lucky break. You solved the equation of why you keep ending up in the same hell, and you broke it. And now they see it. They might not say it out loud, but they feel it. You respond slower. You don't show up for every drama. You don't explain every boundary. You're not available like a 24/7 emergency hotline anymore. You've gone from emotionally on-call clown to unreachable main character. And they hate it. Oh, they hate it. Because when you stop playing your old role, their script stops working. They can't sleep because suddenly, the friend they used to gossip about is now the one people gossip about in a different way. Damn, did you see what they're doing now? The relative they used as a cautionary tale is now the one everyone is low-key proud of, but too ego-bruised to admit. The coworker they joked would never move up is now the one who looks like they might walk out and never come back, and actually have options. You were their favorite example of why not to try too hard. Now you're the walking contradiction of everything they told themselves to stay comfortable. Of course they can't sleep. You are living proof that their excuses are lies. Let's talk about the group chats for a second. You know the ones you're not in anymore. Screens glowing in the dark. Greater than they're acting brand new. Greater than so now they think they're better than us. Greater than one little win and they changed up. Greater than they must be doing something shady. That's the funniest part. The moment you changed your patterns, they didn't question theirs. They questioned your morals. Because to them, success without compromise is impossible. Why? Because they can't imagine it. They can't imagine waking up and actually staying consistent. They can't imagine saying no to every bad urge, every lazy habit, every toxic invite. They can't imagine deleting numbers, blocking access, shutting doors, rebuilding identity. So if you did it, it must be luck manipulation, a phase, or some secret cheat code you don't deserve. They can't sleep because they're not actually mad at you. They're mad at the version of themselves they'll never meet unless they do what you did. And that version scares the life out of them. Look at your journey for a second. You went from, I can't do this without them, to, I can't do this if they're still around. You went from, what if I lose people, 2, if I have to lose myself to keep them, they're already gone. They remember the night you cried in front of them, the call where you were broken, the rant where you said, "I'm done, I can't anymore," and you meant it. But you still stayed. They got comfortable thinking. They'll never actually walk away. They always break, but they never break free. Then one day, without a speech, without a warning, without some dramatic announcement, you just started moving differently. Less talking, more doing, less complaining, more changing, less you'll see, and more watch. That shift, that silent, calm, terrifying shift, that's what's keeping them up. Because anger they can handle, drama they can eat for breakfast, but silence, distance, consistency, growth, that's terrifying. You need to really let this sink in. They are not losing sleep because you became evil. They're losing sleep because you became evidence. Evidence that you can have their same background and not end up like them. You can have the same trauma and not weaponize it forever. You can come from the same place and still decide, this legacy ends with me. You broke hereditary laziness. You broke generational silence. You broke cultural stay-in-your-place programming. You broke that unspoken family rule of, we don't talk about that, by healing yourself and moving differently. And now those who choose not to heal have to look at you and admit, it was possible. That's the code. That's what you solved. You know why they call you changed. Like it's an insult? You changed. You're different now. You're not the same person you used to be. Good. You're not supposed to be. What were you supposed to do, huh? Stay the shattered version of yourself just because that's the version they could control. Keep pretending you're clueless just so they feel smart. Laugh at jokes that were actually disrespect. Keep showing up to tables where you're always the punchline. No. You finally realized the most dangerous truth. Greater than, I don't owe anyone the weaker version of me, just because that's the version they're comfortable with. And once you saw that, once the illusion broke, once the code revealed itself, you couldn't unsee it. You started to notice who only calls when they need something, who treats your boundaries like a personal attack, who goes quiet whenever you share good news, who suddenly wants to check in now that you're glowing a little different. You solved the equation of who's really for you versus who just likes the benefits of being near you. And that's a ruthless kind of clarity. Let's go deeper, because this isn't just about haters and jealous people. That's too shallow. This goes further down. Some of the people losing sleep over your growth actually love you. That's the twisted part. They love you, but they're still unsettled by you, because they built a whole identity around being stronger, wiser, more stable than you. And now, you caught up. Worse, you might have passed them, and they don't know what to do with that. It rewrites everything. If they can change, what does that say about me staying the same? If they can heal, what does that say about me choosing my wounds as a personality? If they can rise, what does that say about my "it's impossible for us" narrative? They have two options. 1, evolve with you. 2, resent you and call it concern. Guess which one keeps them up at night? Now listen closely, because this part is for you, and only you. You're going to be tempted to shrink again, to dim down, to soften your wins, to say, it's not that deep, I just got lucky, when you know damn well you bled for this. You'll want to downplay it because you see the discomfort in their eyes. You feel the weird vibe when you talk about your progress. You hear the change in their tone. Suddenly, they joke about your new habits. They mock your boundaries. They say you're obsessed or too serious now. They accuse you of thinking you're better. That's the trap. That's the part of the old code trying to pull you back in. Understand this. They are not uncomfortable because you're bragging. They're uncomfortable because your existence is now a mirror. You don't even have to say anything. You walk into a room with your healed energy, your new standards, your better posture, your calmer responses, and it exposes the chaos they refuse to confront in themselves. You solved it. You found a way out of the mental cage they decorated and called home. So now when they see you, they don't just see you. They see every decision they didn't make, every opportunity they let pass, every time they chose comfort over evolution. That's not your guilt to carry. You know what takes real nerve? Continuing to win slowly, not flashy, not overnight, just steady, repeated, intentional moves. Because at first they'll say, it's just a phase. They always start strong but fall off. Give it a few weeks. Weeks pass. Months pass. You keep going. Not perfect, but consistent enough. Suddenly their brain can't file you under temporary change anymore. It has to file you under something terrifying, greater than permanent threat to my narrative. You're not a one-time event. You're becoming a new baseline. The lazy one is now the disciplined one. The too emotional one is now the one who regulates their reactions better than everyone. The broke one is now financially smarter than the people who looked down on them. The needy one is now the one with the strongest boundaries. You inverted the roles. You flipped the script. You rewrote the story they cast you in. Of course, they can't sleep. Let's talk about you now. Because this isn't just about making them uncomfortable. It's about what this version of you is capable of. Because if you could if you could break this pattern, if you could untangle this mess, what else can't you do? You solved. Showing up even when your mood said, lay down and rot. Being disciplined, even when nobody clapped for you. Making moves with no audience, no validation, no applause, forgiving yourself for your past, while refusing to keep repeating it. That's not small. That's not one little change. That's architecture. You're rebuilding your entire internal structure. And as you keep going, you're going to notice something strange. The more control you gain over yourself, the less control the world has over you. Suddenly, they can't manipulate you with guilt. They can't bait you with drama. They can't hook you with, you've changed comments. They can't use your fear of abandonment to keep you obedient. That's freedom, not the vacation type. The I'm not your puppet anymore type. You solved the code of how they kept you smaller than you really are. And once that's solved, you are no longer safe for their comfort. But let's be brutally honest. You're still scared sometimes, aren't you? Because now that you've stepped out of the cage, there's no script, no guaranteed outcome, no clear path. You solved one thing, and it opened 10 more questions. What do I actually want? Who am I without the drama? How do I live without chaos as my personality? What do I do when peace feels weird? That uncertainty, that shaky feeling, good. It means you're actually living, not looping. You used to be scared of failing. Now you're just scared of going back. That fear, use it. Every time you think about going back to old habits, old people, old patterns, old environments, Remember the version of you that couldn't sleep, not because others were threatened, but because you were miserable. The nights you stared at the ceiling thinking, is this really my whole life? Is this just who I am? Is this all I ever get? You solved that. Don't undo your own miracle just because some people are emotionally allergic to your evolution. Here's the part nobody tells you. Being the one who cracks the code doesn't make you special in the way people romanticize it. It makes you responsible. Because now, your younger self is watching. The people quietly inspired by you are watching. The ones who secretly know they can do better because they saw you do it are watching. You're not their savior, but you are their proof. That doesn't mean you have to carry them. You're not a bus, you're a signal. Your life is now a broadcast that says, greater than you can break it. You can change it. You're not locked in. They might not clap for you publicly. They might make jokes. They might roll their eyes. Still, they're watching. They're listening. They're thinking. And they are definitely not sleeping the same. So what now? Now you keep going. Not to spite them. Not to prove them wrong. You already did that the moment you didn't collapse the way they expected. You keep going because you finally tasted alignment. You woke up one day and realized, I don't hate myself as much anymore. I actually like the choices I'm making. I might not be where I want yet, but I'm not who I was. That feeling, that quiet, subtle, I'm becoming someone I respect. Hold on to that harder than you've ever held on to any person, because people will come and go. Approval will come and go. Support will come and go. But the code you cracked inside yourself, that's yours. They can watch. They can whisper. They can refresh your page 100 times a day. They can dissect your moves like analysts breaking down game footage. At the end of it all, they don't have to sleep with your decisions. You do. And for the first time in a long time, you're the one who's starting to rest a little easier, while they lie awake, wondering how you did it, if it's real, and if they'll ever find the courage to do the same. And what's really messing with their heads is that you're not even doing anything theatrical about it. You're not posting a manifesto every other day. You're not making a big speech at every family gathering. You're not going live and explaining your every mindset shift like a documentary. You're just living different, answering different, moving different, choosing different. They keep zooming in on your life, trying to find some big dramatic moment to blame, some villain origin story they can point to. But it's not that neat. It's boring stuff. And that's what scares them. You're waking up a bit earlier. You're saying no a lot more. You're not taking every call. You ignore texts that drain you. You don't chase where you're clearly not wanted. Tiny adjustments, micro decisions, boring discipline. They can't sleep because the thing they told themselves was impossible is just you doing small things repeatedly. No secret ritual, no magic shortcut. Just you deciding you're tired of being your own worst enemy. They told themselves they'd change when they felt ready. You changed when you were exhausted. Big difference. They white of motivation. You moved from disgust, from that I can't stand myself like this anymore. Feeling. You hit that point where being uncomfortable in growth finally felt less painful than staying comfortable in destruction. Quiet switch. No announcement. Just a different kind of tired. They remember you when you were stuck in that loop. You overthinking every step. You asking 10 people for advice, just to ignore all of it. You promising yourself, this is the last time, while walking right back into the same fire. You are predictable. safe, easy to decode. And then one day you just didn't react the way you usually do. The message came in, and you didn't reply. The invite popped up, and you didn't go. The disrespect happened. And instead of arguing for 3 hours, you just withdrew your energy completely. That deviation from the script is what haunts them. Because if you can rewrite that, what else are you willing to rewrite? They used to know which buttons to push. They had a whole remote control for you. Guilt button, fear button, abandonment button, anger button. Press here. They'll chase press here. They'll explain press here. They'll apologize for things that weren't even their fault. Then you went in and rewired the circuit button. Still there. Reaction changed. They press the guilt button, and you shrug. They press the anger button, and you stay calm. They press the "I'm disappointed in you" button, and you say okay, and move on, static. No response, system offline. And that's when they realized you didn't just solve some external situation. You solved your emotional wiring. That's terrifying for people who rely on your old version to feel powerful. There's this part of them that's thinking, if I can't control this person like before, who am I around them? Because their whole dynamic with you was built on imbalance. They were the stable one, the logical one, the I know better one. You were the messy one, the emotional one, the always in some kind of crisis one. Then your crisis turned into clarity, and their stability turned into stagnation. That flip is not something the human ego handles gracefully. You notice how they suddenly start over-explaining their own life choices when they're around you. They talk more about their job, their relationship, their routines. They start throwing in random lines like, greater than, I could change if I wanted to. I just don't care like that. Greater than, not everything is about leveling up. Some of us are just chill. It's defensive. It's that nervous laugh energy. Because a piece of them is rattled by the fact that you used to be the one making excuses like that. And now you're not. You outgrew the language they still use to justify their lack of movement. And let's be real here. You're not even where you want to be yet. You're still in progress, still figuring it out, still messing up sometimes. You're not walking around like some perfect success story. You're just not stuck in the exact same spot anymore. That tiny bit of forward motion, that inch, that 1% shift, is enough to keep them up pacing mentally. They replay conversations with you like security footage. Remember when they said they were going to change jobs? Remember when they said they were done with that person? Remember when they started reading those books, going to the gym, journaling, whatever? They laughed in their head back then. They thought, cute phase. They'll be back with a new disaster soon. You didn't come back with a disaster. You came back with boundaries. You came back with better posture. You came back harder to access. That's not entertainment to them. That's a problem, because your chaos used to be a distraction, a convenient one. They loved when your life was a mess. It pulled focus away from theirs. You break up. You lose money. You get fired. You fail something.
Easy, lock in, don't blink. So you felt it, didn't you? That microscopic pause, that half second where their breath stuttered and their eyes did something they couldn't control, that moment where the room didn't change, but they did. That wasn't curiosity, that wasn't admiration, that wasn't even fear yet. That was recognition, because up until now, they could pretend you were lucky, pretend you were chaotic, pretend you were reckless, unstable, temporary. They wrapped you in labels so they wouldn't have to face the truth. They told themselves stories so they could sleep. But then something snapped. They watched you move through pressure like it was oxygen. They saw you take hits that would have folded anyone else, and somehow come back sharper, quieter, more precise. They noticed the pattern before they could explain it. Every time life tried to erase you, you came back, upgraded. And that's when it happened. That shift in their eyes. That moment where confidence drains and calculation takes its place. Where their posture tightens. Where their voice changes just enough to give them away. Where they stop talking at you and start listening around you. Because now they're not looking at a person, they're looking at a problem they can't solve. You see, they're used to power that announces itself. Loud power, predictable power, power that wants applause, power that begs to be seen. That kind of power is easy to map, easy to manipulate, easy to destroy. But you're the kind that evolves in silence. You're the contradiction they weren't trained for. The saint who learned how to survive hell. The monster who knows exactly when not to bite. The angel who stopped asking for permission. The psychopath who still understands mercy and chooses when to withhold it. That's what unsettles them. You don't react the way you're supposed to. You don't break where the pressure is applied. You don't chase validation. And you don't flinch when they test you. You don't rush. You don't explain. You don't perform. You observe. And observation is lethal. Because the moment they realized who you are, the game inverted. The watcher became the watched. The examiners started checking themselves. The people who once spoke casually around you started measuring every word. Every joke got safer. Every move got slower. They didn't announce it out loud, but their eyes confessed everything. Those eyes said, "This one's different." Those eyes said, "This one remembers." Those eyes said, "This one has already been through something that rewired them." You weren't born dangerous. That's the part they never understand. You were made dangerous by disappointment, by betrayal, by nights where nobody came, by moments where you had to choose between collapsing and adapting. And you adapted. You learned when to go cold, and when to burn, when to disappear, and when to stand directly in front of the threat without blinking. You learned that unpredictability isn't chaos, it's leverage. You learned that control doesn't come from domination, it comes from restraint. That's why they can't read you. They keep looking for emotional tells, but you already buried those. They expect rage, but you bring calm. They expect ego, but you bring clarity. They expect desperation, but you bring timing. And timing terrifies them, because the shift in their eyes wasn't about what you did. It was about what you could do if you ever stopped holding back. It was the realization that you're operating at a fraction of your capacity. That you're polite, not because you're weak, but because you're disciplined. They see it now. The silence before you speak isn't hesitation, it's selection. The stillness isn't fear, it's assessment. The smile isn't friendliness, it's awareness. You don't need to threaten, you don't need to prove. Your presence already rearranges the atmosphere. And that's the part that keeps them up at night. Because people like you don't announce the storm. You are the pressure drop before it hits. You don't chase power. You attract it by refusing to beg. You don't force outcomes. You let others expose themselves while trying to control you. They finally realized something else, too. You're not fueled by hatred anymore. You've graduated past that. Hatred is noisy. You're fueled by something colder, cleaner, purpose shaped by pain, vision sharpened by loss. A calm that only comes from surviving the worst and realizing you're still standing. That's why their eyes changed, because now they know you're not waiting to be chosen. You're not hoping to be understood. You're not seeking permission. You've already crossed the line they're afraid to approach. You're what happens when someone stops trying to be liked and starts being precise. When someone integrates their darkness instead of fighting it. When someone learns that being underestimated is the most powerful position in the room. And here's the truth they can't unsee now. You don't need to become anything else. You don't need to escalate. You don't need to announce your next move. The shift already happened. It happened in their eyes. It happened in their silence. It happened the moment they realized you're not playing the same game, and never were. You're not the threat they prepared for. You're the one that makes them question whether the rules even apply anymore. And once that realization lands, it never leaves. They try to shake it off, tell themselves they imagined it, pretend you're still manageable. But the body knows before the mind can lie. Their nervous system already filed you under unpredictable variable. Their instincts already flagged you as something that doesn't fit the model. That's why the air around you feels different now. You didn't get louder. You didn't posture. You didn't demand respect. You simply kept being you. And that's what broke the illusion, because they expected transformation to look dramatic. They thought power announces itself with noise, with dominance displays, with threats and theatrics. They thought becoming dangerous meant becoming obvious, but you took the opposite route. You refined yourself. You compressed your chaos into control. You turned trauma into structure, pain into pattern recognition, loss into leverage. You didn't numb out, you sharpened. You didn't harden, you clarified. That's why their eyes changed. They saw that you don't move from emotion anymore. You move from position. That your decisions aren't reactions, they're delayed executions. That you let people talk themselves into exposure while you quietly catalog everything. And once someone realizes that about you, they never feel safe again. Not because you're violent, but because you're accurate. Accuracy is terrifying, because accuracy means you see the real hierarchy. You see who's bluffing, who's overcompensating, who's terrified of being exposed. You see who needs validation to function and who collapses without attention. And they realized you don't need any of that. You can stand alone in a room full of people and not feel empty. You can be silent and not feel invisible. You can walk away without needing closure. That tells them something dangerous about you. It tells them you're no longer emotionally tethered to outcomes. That you're not desperate for approval or afraid of abandonment. That you already survived the worst-case scenario and came back with perspective instead of bitterness. That's when respect mutates into fear. Because fear isn't about aggression, it's about loss of control. And they lost control the moment they realized you don't need their reaction to validate your existence. You don't collapse under pressure. You metabolize it. You don't chase reassurance. You generate gravity. They can feel it when they look at you. The way your calm doesn't ask for permission. The way your stillness doesn't explain itself. The way your presence doesn't negotiate. You've become the paradox they can't resolve. Soft-spoken but immovable. Controlled but lethal. Compassionate but not exploitable. A thinker with teeth. A survivor with standards. And that's when the internal panic starts. Because now they're replaying every interaction they ever had with you. Every joke, every dismissal. Every time they underestimated you. They're wondering what you noticed, what you remember, what you filed away. They're asking themselves questions they never wanted to ask. Does he know? Did she see that? Was that moment intentional? And you never answer. You let silence do the damage, because silence forces projection, and projection reveals weakness. In silence, people confess to themselves. In silence, fear grows legs. In silence, they start negotiating with versions of you that don't even exist. That's power, not the loud kind, not the obvious kind, the kind that bends rooms without speaking, the kind that turns confidence into caution, the kind that makes people self-edit around you. You didn't become this overnight. This version of you was forged slowly, brutally, in moments where nobody clapped, in nights where nobody checked in phases where you questioned your own sanity, foreseeing what others couldn't. You doubted yourself before you trusted yourself. You broke before you rebuilt. You learned the cost of kindness and the necessity of boundaries. You learned that being good without being strong gets you eaten, and being strong without being conscious turns you hollow. So you integrated both. You didn't kill your darkness, you disciplined it. You didn't erase your empathy, you armored it. You didn't abandon your humanity, you weaponized your awareness. That's why the shift in their eyes wasn't admiration, it was acknowledgement. The unspoken understanding that you are no longer operating on surface-level motives. That you don't need chaos to dominate, but chaos tends to follow wherever you stop pretending. They see it now. You don't rush because you're already ahead. You don't explain because you already know. You don't react because you already planned. And here's the part that really fractures them. You're not trying to win against them. You're evolving past them. That's what makes them uneasy. You're not fueled by revenge. You're fueled by alignment. You're not here to prove. You're here to execute your own trajectory. They can sense that you're outgrowing the environment, that the room is starting to feel small around you, that whatever version of you they thought they understood is already obsolete. And once that realization hits, the eyes never lie again. Because eyes don't speak ego, they speak survival. And theirs just admitted something they'll never say out loud. They finally realized who you are, and they know. There's no unseeing it. And once that door opens in their mind, it doesn't close, ever. They can distract themselves, drown it in noise, bury it under routine. But the knowing stays. It sits behind their eyes like a warning light they pretend not to see. Because now every interaction with you carries weight. Every word you don't say becomes louder than the ones you do. Every pause feels intentional. Every glance feels measured. They start scanning for hidden meaning where there may be none. Because people fear what they can't predict. And you've become unreadable by design. They sense that you're not improvising anymore. That you're moving from an internal map they don't have access to. That your calm isn't apathy, it's pre-acceptance. You've already accepted every possible outcome, which means nothing they do can shake you. That terrifies them, because leverage dies the moment someone stops fearing loss. You already lost what mattered once. You already felt the collapse, the betrayal, the disillusionment. You already stood in that internal wasteland where illusions burn off and only truth survives. And instead of becoming bitter, you became precise. That's the shift they saw. The shift from seeking to selecting, from reacting to allowing, from proving to deciding. They noticed you no longer rush to defend yourself, no longer over-explain, no longer chase being understood. You let misunderstanding sit, because you've learned something most people never do. Being misunderstood is safer than being predictable. They don't know which version of you they're dealing with anymore. The compassionate one, the detached one, the forgiving one, the ruthless one. And the worst part for them is that all of those versions are real, and you choose which one shows up. Choice is power. You can feel it when they look at you now. That slight delay before they speak. That subconscious recalibration. That moment where they check their tone, soften their posture, rethink their angle. They're no longer trying to impress you. They're trying not to trigger you. Not because you've threatened them, but because something about you says you don't miss. That when you act, it's final. That you don't escalate emotionally. You resolve strategically. They sense that you've crossed an internal threshold where chaos doesn't scare you anymore. Where silence feels safer than noise. Where solitude feels cleaner than crowds. Where clarity matters more than comfort. That's when respect becomes caution, because people can handle anger, they can handle arrogance, they can even handle violence. What they can't handle is someone who sees through the game and chooses not to play emotionally. You've become immune to bait. Insults slide off you, praise doesn't hook you. Drama feels transparent. You see the mechanism behind the performance, the insecurity behind the bravado, the fear behind the control, and you don't expose it. You let it rot on its own. That restraint is what unsettles them most, because restraint signals something dangerous: confidence without desperation, power without hunger, awareness without noise. They start wondering how long you've been like this, whether you always saw them this clearly, whether every interaction was already catalogued, whether the version of you they dismissed was just camouflage. And the truth, it was. You learned early that loud evolution attracts resistance, so you evolved quietly. You upgraded internally while externally appearing unchanged. You let them underestimate you because underestimation gives you space. Space to learn, space to sharpen, space to move without interference. Now that space is closing. Because now they see it in your eyes too. That grounded stillness, that absence of need, that sense that you're already gone, mentally ahead, emotionally detached, strategically positioned. They realize you're not climbing the same ladder. You're building something else entirely. And here's the paradox that really cracks them. You're not cold because you lack feeling. You're calm because you understand feeling too well. You know how fear hijacks logic, how ego blinds intelligence, how desire creates weakness. And you refuse to let any of that run you anymore. That's why your presence feels heavier now. You're no longer available for manipulation, no longer accessible through guilt or flattery, no longer controllable through pressure or urgency. They can't rush you. They can't corner you. They can't provoke you into mistakes. And that's when people start projecting. They call you distant, arrogant, intimidating, different. But what they're really saying is, I can't read you, and that scares me. Because deep down, they sense something else. You're not seeking validation from the world anymore. You're aligning with something internal, something steady, something that doesn't fluctuate with opinions or outcomes. You're operating from center, and when someone operates from center, the world adjusts around them. That's why the shift in their eyes wasn't dramatic. It was subtle, almost invisible, but irreversible. A micro-expression of recalibration, a silent admission. They finally realized who you are. Not a phase, not a fluke, not a character, but a force shaped by experience, a mind sharpened by survival, a presence that doesn't announce itself, but leaves marks everywhere it passes. And the most dangerous part, you didn't change to intimidate them. You changed to survive. And now survival has turned into inevitability. So let them stare. Let them wonder. Let them speculate and whisper and replay moments in their head. You don't owe them clarity. You already moved past the point where explanation matters. They saw the shift, and they know. Whatever you're becoming next, they won't be ready for it. And the deeper that awareness settles into them, the quieter they become. Not calm, quiet. There's a difference. Calm is confidence. Quiet is recalibration. Quiet is someone realizing the map they were using is outdated, and the terrain has changed without permission. That's what you did. You changed the terrain, without announcement, without ceremony, without warning flares. You didn't step into a new role. You outgrew the old one so completely that it collapsed behind you. And now everyone who still lives there is staring at the rubble, trying to understand when the ground gave way. They feel it when you walk into a space. Conversations adjust. Energy shifts. The air tightens just a little. It's subtle, but it's real. You're not dominating the room. You're anchoring it. You're not absorbing attention. You're bending it. And here's what they can't stand admitting to themselves. You didn't get here by accident. This wasn't luck. This wasn't timing. This wasn't a sudden glow-up. This was accumulation. Every ignored warning. Every betrayal you clocked and never forgot. Every night you stayed awake asking questions nobody else was brave enough to ask. Every time you chose self-mastery over self-soothing. You paid for this version of yourself in advance. With loneliness, with doubt, with long stretches of invisibility, with moments where you wondered if you were becoming something wrong for refusing to stay small. And now that the payoff is visible, they don't know how to react. Because people are comfortable with growth that follows rules, degrees, titles, external validation, linear progress. But you didn't grow like that. You grew sideways. You grew inward. You grew in ways that don't show up on resumes, but show up immediately in eye contact. That's why their eyes changed. They saw depth where they expected surface. They saw patience where they expected hunger. They saw control where they expected chaos. They saw someone who isn't driven by impulse but by internal law. And internal law is unbreakable. You don't need permission to move. You don't need approval to decide. You don't need consensus to act. You move when alignment says move, and you wait when silence says wait. Waiting used to be uncomfortable for you. Now it's a weapon, because waiting lets people expose themselves. Waiting lets false confidence unravel. Waiting lets the loud ones make mistakes while you collect data. They noticed that too. They noticed you don't rush conversations anymore. You let people talk. You let them reveal priorities, insecurities, contradictions. You don't interrupt. You don't compete. You don't try to win debates. You let truth win on its own. And that tells them something terrifying about you. You're no longer operating from need. Need makes people loud. Need makes people reckless. Need makes people manipulable. But you severed that dependency. You stopped needing to be seen, heard, chosen, validated. You chose yourself quietly. And that's when people start to feel unsafe. Not because you're hostile, but because you're sovereign. Sovereignty breaks hierarchies. You can't intimidate someone who doesn't seek status. You can't bribe someone who doesn't crave approval. You can't threaten someone who already made peace with loss. They sense that you've already died once, not physically, but internally. The old identity, the old attachments, the old illusions.